All right, so let's dive into this cabinet meeting thing, huh? It's President Trump, and well, you think of cabinet meeting, you think pretty standard stuff, right? Budgets and maybe some talk about what's going on in the world. But this one, oh boy, this one had some curveballs for sure.
Oh.
So first up, we've got Elon Musk, uh, not talking about sending people to Mars this time though. No, this time he's all about saving the government some serious cash, like $1 trillion serious extension. And how's he going to do that? Well, he seems to think that a lot of the government systems are, well, let's just say they're a little behind the times, not exactly running at peak efficiency. He even hinted that some folks on the government payroll might not actually be, among the living anymore. Or, hey, maybe they never even existed in the first place. Now, that's a thought, isn't it? Ghost employees haunting the halls of government. Anyway, so President Trump, he decides to get a better handle on who's actually doing what. So he sent out this email, right? Calls it a pulse check, asks all the federal employees to report back on what they're working on, just give a quick update. And the results? Well, about half the workforce responded, which leaves the other half kind of hanging out there in the unknown, a little unsettling, right? But Musk, he jumps in to clarify. He's like, hey, everyone relax. This isn't about firing people left and right. He says the goal is to make sure every dollar the taxpayers are putting in is actually being used the right way.
Yeah.
And that everyone getting paid is actually, pulling their weight and doing something useful. He even encourages the folks working on the top secret stuff, the classified projects, just to reply with a simple message stating that their work is sensitive.
Yeah.
Keep it simple, keep it fair. Now, President Trump, he doesn't hold back either. He jumps right into some specific areas where he sees a whole lot of wasted cash. He points a finger at certain U.S. wait-and-need programs, the ones meant to help out other countries. He's not convinced they're as effective as they should be. And then there's the Department of Education. The good old Department of Education. President Trump, he wants to see more control over education. Go back to the states. Let him handle things closer to home. But here's where things take a turn. Buckle up, because this one's a doozy. President Trump unveils his shiny new gold card immigration plan. So what is this gold card all about? Well, imagine a VIP line straight to U.S. citizenship. But there's a catch, a pretty hefty catch. $5 million to be exact.
Yeah.
You heard that right, $5 million, and you're in. Welcome to America, the land of opportunity, but also, the land of some pretty steep entry fees. So what's the idea here? Well, President Trump figures this will attract all the best and brightest from around the world. The doctors, the scientists, the entrepreneurs, the folks who are going to shake things up and make America even greater. And hey, while we're at it, let's tackle that pesky national debt, right? President Trump even suggests that big companies like Apple could use these gold cards to snag top talent from overseas. Get around those visa issues that often force brilliant minds to pack up and leave. And how much can we rake in with this gold card scheme? Well, President Trump estimates that even if just a small number of folks pony up the $5 million, we could be talking trillions of dollars in revenue. Trillions with a T. Potentially enough to wipe out the national debt altogether. Now, I know what you're thinking. $5 million for a golden ticket to America. Sounds a little out there, right? But hey, that's President Trump for you. Always thinking outside the box. Whether you love him or hate him, you got to admit the man knows how to make a splash. All right, so we've covered Elon Musk taking on government waste and the interesting gold card immigration plan, but there's a whole lot more to unpack from this cabinet meeting. We're just getting started, folks. Stay tuned, because this deep dive is about to get even deeper. Okay, so you know how President Trump talks about trade and dealing with other countries? Well, it's like he sees it all as this big competition, right? Like someone's always winning and someone's always losing. And he's convinced that America's been getting the short end of the stick for way too long. So he decided to shake things up. He loves to shake things up. And one of his big moves, well, he's slapped a 25% tariff on a bunch of stuff coming in from the European Union. Yeah, 25%. That's a pretty big hit. And what's he targeting? Oh, the usual suspects, cars, and a whole bunch of other products. He's basically saying, hey, Europe, you guys haven't been playing fair. You're not letting enough of our stuff in, especially our cars and our farm products. And this whole thing, it really shows how President Trump feels about those big international groups, like the EU and NATO. He's just not a fan. He thinks they're rigged against America, and he's not afraid to use tariffs to try and force them back to the negotiating table. But hey, it's not all about global power struggles. This cabinet meeting took a few detours into some serious stuff happening right here at home, like this measles outbreak in Texas. Remember that? It was a really sad situation. A child actually died.
Yeah.
And people were understandably worried about the disease spreading. So President Trump, he turns to his health secretary, the expert, and lets him give the rundown on the situation. But when the talk turned to the Afghanistan withdrawal, oh boy, President Trump, he didn't hold back. When someone asked if the generals and the folks in charge of that whole operation had been held accountable, his answer was pretty blunt. He's like, that's a fantastic idea. Fire them. Just like that. Straight to the point. He was clearly frustrated about how the withdrawal went down, especially all that military equipment we left behind. The stuff worth billions and billions of dollars. And get this, he actually connected the Afghanistan withdrawal to the whole mess in Ukraine. He seems to think that the way we pulled out, all chaotic and messy made us look weak. And that kind of gave Putin the green light to invade. He even said Putin saw it as our time to go into Ukraine. Now, that's a pretty bold statement, right? Some people agree with him. Some people think it's way too simplistic. But one thing's for sure, President Trump believes that America needs to look strong on the world stage. He thinks that anytime we back down or mess up, it's like sending an invitation to our enemies. Like, hey, come on in and take advantage of us. We're weak. He's got this whole worldview where America can't afford to look vulnerable or uncertain, not even for a second. So far, we've seen President Trump shackle a whole bunch of stuff, right? Cutting government waste, trying to attract rich folks with that gold card thing, dealing with international conflicts, and even responding to problems here at home. It's like he's juggling a million things at once. But is there some kind of bigger plan here? Is there a connection between all these different issues? Well, that's what we're going to try to figure out as we head into the final part of our deep dive into this wild and crazy cabinet meeting. Buckle up, folks. It's going to be a bumpy ride. It's really something how President Trump can connect all these different things, like trimming the government workforce and that gold card idea to bring in wealthy immigrants. And then you've got him talking about peace deals and tariffs. It's like he sees it all as part of some big puzzle, He's definitely not afraid to try new things and shake up the way things are done. And he sure loves to challenge the way people think about government. Like, remember that spending bill they passed? The one to cut $2 trillion. Someone asked him point blank, can you promise us that you won't touch Medicare, or Medicaid and Social Security? And his response was like, boom, you shouldn't even have to ask me that. This is not going to happen. We are not going to touch it. Read my lips. So he made it clear to his supporters that their benefits are safe. But he also talked about cracking down on fraud in those programs, and making sure people aren't getting benefits they shouldn't be getting. He's all about being fiscally responsible even while protecting those programs. And then there was this exchange that really showed how he sees himself as president. Someone asked him, do you believe you could just call up any of your cabinet members and tell them what to do and they have to obey? And he just says, oh, yeah, absolutely. They'll follow orders. No exceptions. So, yeah, he's definitely not shy about being in charge. And all this is happening while he's still fighting that legal battle with CBS News over that 60-minute segment. Remember that, the one they aired right before the last election. He's claiming they messed with Kamala Harris's answers to make her look better. And he thinks it might have actually swayed the election. He's going after them for a big settlement and even hinted that the FCC might get involved. Talk about holding a grudge, right? I guess the takeaway here is that President Trump is a fighter. He's not afraid to take on anyone or anything, whether it's other countries, Congress, the media, or even his own government. He's always got a plan and he's always pushing forward. So what does all this mean for America? Well, that's the big question, isn't it? Are his policies going to make things better or worse? Will they bring us together or divide us even more? I guess only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be a wild ride. So buckle up and get ready, because the future of America is being shaped right before our eyes. And it's definitely not going to be boring.